Eh bien, salut à tous, bienvenue sur la chaîne de chez Bretzoul. Aujourd'hui, nous allons jouer à Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater HD de la HD Collection. Donc, on a fait le 1 avec Travis Aero Patriot, oui pourra, on sait pas encore tout à fait comment il s'appelle. Mais là, je m'étais dit que comme le 3 remake allait sortir en août, et ben c'était l'occasion de ressortir l'original que je ne vais pas faire tout de suite avec Travis parce que je voudrais qu'il fasse le remake. Donc pour ma part, je vais faire la partie à l'ancienne. Alors à l'ancienne pas tout à fait parce que comme c'est la version HD, c'est la version qui était prise sur la version subsistance ou attends c'est quoi la deuxième version du jeu PS3 et du coup en remaster HD. Donc c'est pas encore tout à fait le jeu d'origine parce que le jeu d'origine doit être franchement habitable. Et cette version, je l'avais déjà fait sur PS3 dans la version anthologie, Legacy Collection, c'est ça. Donc nouvelle partie, c'est la première fois que je joue. J'aime Metal Gear Solid 1, j'aime Metal Gear Solid 2, j'aime Metal Gear Solid 3. Moi j'adore le 1, donc je vais marquer le 1 normal bien sûr.
After the end of World War II, the world was split
Je vous laisse la vidéo. Hein.
East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
Donc là forcément on est sur la version PS5 qui est un peu une escroquerie en soi. Donc David Hayter toujours dans le doublage de Solid Snake. J'avais bien aimé à l'époque, contrairement à ce que je pouvais en attendre, je vous avouerai que l'aspect survie pouvait un peu me rebuter au tout départ et à l'époque j'avais fait le 1, je m'étais lancé dans le 2 qui est très simple, hein, le 2 finalement quand on le prend un peu...
Approaching Soviet airspace. 20 minutes to drop off. Commencing internal depressurization. Equipment check. Arm main parachute.
Alors je n'ai pas streamé ou enregistré le 2 parce que je voudrais que Travis le fasse.
Good, we've got high visibility.
Je pense qu'il faut qu'il fasse les jeux par parcimonie parce que ça va vite le gaver sinon. On peut être fan de la série mais si on... Surtout que les enjeux sont un peu compliqués, notamment sur le 2.
Put on your mask. Does this pantywaist know what he's doing?
Le 3 était un peu un pied de nez aux fans de la série, hein, parce qu'on s'attendait tous à ce que on ait une suite aux 2 direct, mais là on joue un préquel à tous les événements, quoi. Que ce soit Metal Gear sur MSX, Metal Gear 2 ou Snake Revenge. Là on joue vraiment les origines des origines.
Depressurization complete. Checking oxygen supply. 6 minutes to drop off. Opening rear hatch. Sunrise.
C'est plutôt astucieux de remettre un peu la licence dans le passé parce que la nanotechnologie pardon, était franchement le Deus Ex Machina du premier et du deuxième.
This is one for the history books. The world's first Halo jump.
Alors pour ma part, ayant fait le 1, j'avais tout de suite envie de faire le 2 et forcément comme je suis dans le mood et que les jeux sont assez simples et assez rapides à faire, on peut aisément passer 30 heures sur la trilogie, hein, c'est facile à faire. D'autant que les jeux ont beaucoup de cinématiques. Par exemple pour le 2, j'ai mis environ à la cool 11 heures pour faire le jeu, en sachant qu'il y a au moins 5 heures de cinématique ou de lecture de codec. Alors Hideo Kojima qui met son nom partout, bien évidemment.
The head of the CIA has finally given us the green light for the virtuous mission.
Virtual mission?
No, the virtuous mission. The future of our Fox unit depends on it. If it succeeds, we'll be officially organized into a unit.
Virtuous mission? Sounds like some kind of initiation ritual.
You know, don't get cocky. This isn't a training op.
Right. So what exactly is this wonderful mission?
Par contre, je sais pas c'est quoi ce filtrage un peu
About 2
sépia.
years ago,
C'est pour donner un
a
côté
certain
vieillot
Soviet
peut-être.
scientist requested asylum in the West through one of our moles.
Par contre, je me souviens plus du tout du jeu presque. Je me souviens des grosses révélations, c'est tout.
The OKB 754 Design Bureau, one of the Soviets' top secret weapon research facilities, and the East's foremost expert on weapons development.
Sokolov. Isn't he that famous rocket scientist?
The very same. On April the 12th, 1961, the Soviets achieved the first manned spaceflight in history.
The Earth was blue, but there was no God.
Well spoken. The rocket that carried Yuri Gagarin into orbit was the A-1, known as the Vostok rocket. Sokolov is said to be the man most responsible for the multi-engine cluster used in that rocket. After Gagarin's flight, Sokolov left rocket development to become the head of the newly established Design Bureau.
From a lowly technician to head of a design bureau, that's quite a success story. So why do you want to defect?
It seems he'd become afraid of his own creations.
Afraid?
Call it a crisis of conscience.
And for that, he left his country and his family behind and went over the fence?
Not exactly. One of his conditions was that his family was also to be taken safely to the west. We used a mole to get the family out first and succeeded in sneaking Sokolov over the Berlin Wall shortly afterwards. I was the one who conducted the operation.
The security on the eastern side was still full of holes back then. Then what?
We got Sokolov over in one piece, but the whole ordeal had left him exhausted, and we checked him into a hospital in West Berlin. It took him 2 weeks and more than 600 miles to get from the research facility in the Soviet Union to Berlin. He was in no condition to say anything coherent. And it was only a week later that we had something much bigger on our hands.
The Cuban Missile Crisis.
October the 16th,
Ça pourrait intéresser Aéropatriote parce que son kink c'est de justement l'aéronautique. Donc tout ce qui est mission spatiale et tout et la survie. Donc je pense quand même le faire avec lui. Plus le 3 que le 2 d'ailleurs. Sauf qu'ici bien sûr il regarde ses vidéos.
But the Soviets didn't back down, instead placing their armed forces on secondary alert. Soviet transport ships carrying missiles continued on course towards Cuba. US and Soviet forces went on alert for an all-out nuclear war. Frantic negotiations were conducted through the UN's Emergency Security Council and unofficial channels to end the hair-trigger standoff. Finally, on October the 28th, the Soviet Union agreed to remove its missiles from Cuba. And so the world avoided a nuclear holocaust. But in order to get the Soviets to pull their missiles out, we had to make a deal.
You mean the one where the US agreed to remove its IRBMs from Turkey?
No. The Jupiter IRBMs deployed in Turkey were obsolete, and we were going to get rid of them anyway. They had no strategic value whatsoever to either the US or the Russians. The Turkey deal was a ruse, a cover story that was fed to the other intelligence agencies around the world.
So what did the Russians really want?
Sokolov. They wanted us to return Sokolov.
You mean the Soviets pulled out of Cuba just to get their hands on Sokolov?
That's right.
What the hell was he working on?
At the time, we had no idea. We were running out of time. It was either give up Sokolov or risk full-scale nuclear war. In the end, we had no choice. President Kennedy gave in to Khrushchev's demand. The next day, I got Sokolov out of the hospital, handing him over to agents on the eastern side. Sokolov kept on screaming, "Save me," until he disappeared from my side. Then a month ago, we received some new information from one of our moles.
About Sokolov?
Yes. He was taken back to the research facility and forced to continue working on the weapon in question under KGB supervision. What's more, it's on the verge of completion.
So what kind of weapon is it? Something to do with space rockets?
No, missiles.
Same technology.
I guess you're right. We don't know the details, but it appears to be a new kind of nuclear device. For half a year now, the Soviets have been conducting frequent nuclear tests at Semipalatinsk.
Something to do with the weapon, I assume.
We're talking about a
Les cinématiques sont toujours très longues dans les Metal Gear, hein. Il y a des fois où on peut passer presque 40 minutes sans jouer. Jouer 5 minutes et avoir une cinématique de 20 minutes. Faut avoir du temps pour les faire quand même, hein.
A place in the mountains about 3 miles to the west that's known as the Virgin Cliffs.
The Virgin Cliffs. Nice name for a virtuous mission.
They moved him there just recently.
Why?
Apparently, they're conducting a field test of the weapon, but it's our best chance to get him back. This mission would never have been possible if he was still in the research facility. This is our last chance. Sokolov must have known that too when he contacted us.
Alors je vous recommande toutes les versions possibles de Snake Eater, sauf la version 3DS qui est franchement très très compliquée à jouer, quoi. Particulièrement quand on n'a pas de deuxième stick. Moi je l'ai connu comme ça, un Metal Gear Solid 3. Je sais pas pourquoi je l'ai acheté sur 3DS et c'est... Je sais pas, franchement aucune idée. Je l'ai acheté neuf en plus, hein, donc petite particularité du jeu, c'est qu'on peut se mettre à la première personne pendant les cinématiques. Ce qui est très important, hein, ça va être très important.
If we don't get Sokolov back before that weapon is complete, we'll be facing a major crisis. The clock is ticking.
Donc là, B.A.B.A. de la mission, trouver un scientifique complètement taré avant qu'il crée une arme de destruction massive.
Helium will be pumped into the balloon to inflate it. The process takes about 20 minutes. Once it's complete, the gunship's arm will latch onto the balloon and pull
Le premier pas des futons, pour ceux qui connaissent le 5. Enfin, Metal Gear V, c'est pas Metal Gear 5.
Take it easy. It's been combat proof.
Do you think Sokolov is up to it?
The shock will be less than during a parachute jump, and the arm can handle up to 500 pounds.
So you're planning on going over the border in a single combat talent?
She's equipped with 2 6-barrel 20mm Vulcan cannons, as well as 2 40mm machine guns.
Sounds like she could hold her own against a battalion of tanks.
Even with the fuel in the reserve tank, we're facing a 4-hour time limit. If all goes well, it shouldn't take more than a few hours.
Home in time for dinner.
But if anything goes wrong, you'll be eating dinner.
Si seulement ça pouvait se passer sans accroc.
The rest of your meals in the jungle.
Encore une fois, les fans de Metal Gear, je sais pas s'ils ont râlé à l'époque, mais alors on joue Snake, mais on joue pas notre Snake, on joue un autre Snake, alors que dans le 2, la surprise avait été de taille avec Raiden. Du coup, je sais pas ce qu'ils en ont pensé à l'époque. C'est vrai que j'étais carrément plus sur le truc et j'avais complètement lâché la série. Alors qu'elle est géniale, hein, je le dis, je le répète, hein, c'est... Les Metal Gear dans l'ensemble, particulièrement pour apprécier le 4, il faut faire au moins le 1, le 2, le 3, quoi. Puis le 4 bien évidemment. Après ceux à côté j'ai pas trop fait par peut-être Portal Ops mais et Metal Gear V, mais Metal Gear V j'ai trouvé que c'était un peu une escroquerie et on sent particulièrement le divorce Kojima et Konami, hein. On sent qu'il y a quelque chose qui s'est piraté entre temps et il y a quelque chose qui va pas, quoi. Notamment le fait de refaire 2 fois les missions pour avoir le scénario, je trouve que c'est de l'escroquerie, quoi. Alors les cinématiques restent un petit peu agréables à l'œil quand même, hein. Côté HD bien sûr. Alors j'ai tenté de le faire sur émulateur sur une console portable type Retroid et c'est très agréable également. Là c'est juste pour le confort du stream et de l'enregistrement et aussi pour avoir une manette PlayStation correcte. Bref, je commence à être vieux, j'ai besoin de confort.
Do you copy? You're already in enemy territory, and somebody might be listening in. From here on out, we'll be using code names to refer to each other. Your code name for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on. You're not to mention your real name.
Snake?
Oh, you don't like snakes?
What do you mean?
You've eaten one before, haven't you?
In survival training?
I'm glad to hear that.
I don't know if I'd ever order one in a restaurant, but...
Be careful, you might not have a choice.
What about you, Major? What should I call you?
Let's see. I'll be Tom. Call me Major Tom. This will be a sneaking mission. You must not be seen by the enemy. You
On a
must leave
toujours
no trace
les
of
mêmes
your
fréquences
presence.
hein, pour le
Is that
colonel.
clear?
Enfin, pour le
This
major
kind
là,
of
en l'occurrence,
infiltration
mais...
is the Fox unit's speciality. In other words, weapons and equipment are procured on site. That goes for food as well. You're completely naked just
Voilà,
as
donc
your
déjà, il y a
name
le côté
implies.
survie où il faut chasser pour s'alimenter, quoi. Et tout n'est pas,
Snake was your idea of a joke, too.
No, there's a good reason for that.
n'est pas
I'll tell
simple.
you later when the time is right.
Gotcha. Getting back to the subject, how exactly am I supposed to feed myself?
Voilà, ils vont
You've been
expliquer.
issued a knife and a tranquilizer gun. Use them to hunt for food. You'll also find some medical supplies in your backpack.
Yeah, about the backpack. I lost it in a tree on the way down.
I see. Well, you'd better go back and get it then. You know where it is?
No problem. I can see it from here. It's stuck on a branch.
To climb a tree, stand in front of a tree that's covered in ivy and press the action button. I'll be monitoring your progress over the radio.
Et tu vois, ça fait 20 minutes qu'on a lancé le jeu, on n'a toujours pas joué. Hein.
Airspace, but I'll be in the gunship. My frequency is 140.85. I'll give you a call if I need to talk to you. If you need to talk to me, use the send function. Okay, Snake, go get your backpack.
Voilà, ça y est, on y va. Donc sur la première version de Metal Gear Solid 3, on n'avait pas la possibilité de jouer avec le deuxième stick et la caméra. C'est la première fois que le jeu devient avec une caméra libre. Habituellement, on est placé sur le dessus comme ça. Donc on aurait dû jouer comme ça, et pour la visibilité, c'était compliqué. Il fallait continuellement... regarder à la première personne, quoi. Bon, alors ce sac. Les environnements sont plutôt corrects quand même. Alors il y a beaucoup de monde qui m'ont dit qu'ils aimaient pas trop le 3 parce que le côté jungle n'était pas... c'était pas trop leur truc, ce qui est entendable. Toujours bien sûr la possibilité de frapper pour attirer les ennemis. Bon, le gameplay reste relativement le même que pour les premiers. Bah, je suis con ou alors quoi, je le vois pas? Ah, le voilà. Voilà.
I see you've retrieved your backpack, Snake. To equip a weapon, it's necessary to take it out of your backpack. In the survival viewer, choose Weapon from the backpack. Your available weapons will be displayed in a window in the upper left. From that list, choose the weapon you want to equip and press the
Bon,
enter
bien sûr, les choses habituelles, ration,
Other
médicaments.
items, just do the same thing from Item.
Got it. Use the survival viewer backpack.
Yep, that's right. Survival is fundamental to this mission. After you've been out in the field for a while, your stamina will start to drop. If your stamina gets too low, it'll affect your performance. You won't be able to shoot accurately, for example, and your wounds won't heal as smoothly. Keep an eye on your stamina so you don't run out. To recover lost stamina, you can hunt for local flora and fauna. You can use either your tranquilizer gun or your knife to hunt.
My only weapon is a Mark 22 Hush Puppy tranquilizer gun?
That's right. It's been fitted with its own suppressor. However, the suppressor will deteriorate every time you fire. Once its
Ah merde, j'avais oublié ça, que les silencieux se détériorent.
So don't get too trigger happy with it. The suppressor's durability is shown in the icon. Any weapons and equipment beyond what you're carrying now, you'll have to find as you go.
Je me souviens qu'on passait plus de temps dans les menus que dans l'action elle-même, le temps de préparer son attaque.
Solo covert actions are standard Fox operating procedure. You can't leave any traces of your presence. No weapons, equipment, footprints, sweat, or bodily waste. The same goes for bullets and cartridges, too. Your presence in enemy territory is already a violation of international conventions of warfare. There aren't supposed to be any American soldiers in Russia. It could spark an international incident. You can't let anyone see you. You can't let the enemy know you're there. This is a stealth mission. You're a ghost, Snake, in every sense of the word. And there'll be no rescue if you're captured. The military and US government will deny any involvement in the affair.
Then I'll just have to take care of myself, huh?
I'm afraid so. You've been given a fake death pill for that purpose. SIS guidelines stipulate that soldiers on covert ops like this one be issued a potassium cyanide capsule. Tape it to your body so you can take it when you need to.
How generous of you.
Use it if you're taken prisoner by the enemy.
Bon, évidemment, ça sert de gros tuto d'entrée de jeu.
Fooling them into thinking that I'm really dead. So, how do I come back to life?
Just take the revival pill.
You mean that thing they put in my tooth before the mission?
That's the one. But be careful.
On peut même faire semblant d'être mort, tu vois, je me souviens pas de tout.
Nothing will be able to bring you back. Remember that.
I'll keep it in mind. You said this was a solo mission, right?
Right.
I guess that means I can't count on any reinforcements.
Correct. The mission rests entirely in your hands.
A real one-man army.
Relax. There's a support team ready to back you up over the radio.
Who?
I'll introduce them to you. This time, survival is of utmost importance. The first member of the support team will be in charge of
Au rythme où ça va, on va pas pouvoir jouer sur cette première vidéo, c'est sûr.
As well as recording your mission data.
Parce qu'on est sur une moyenne d'1 heure là.
Member of Fox as well, and she's here on the gunship with me.
She?
Hello, Snake. I'm paramedic. Nice to meet you.
Paramedic.
As in a medic who comes in by parachute.
Aren't you going to tell me your real name?
Are you going to tell me yours, Mr. Snake?
My name, huh? It's John Doe.
And they call you Jack for short.
Putain, les traductions quand même, là il dit Tarzan alors qu'il dit John Doe quoi.
After a week, no one has a name. What's your name?
Jane Doe.
Very funny.
I wasn't joking, but I'll tell you my name only if you
Elle
manage
dit
to
Jane
make it
Doe,
back
la
alive.
noyée de Paris.
My frequency is 145.73.
She's also in charge of recording your mission data. Whenever you want to save, send a message over the reserved save frequency, 140.9.
Toujours la fréquence de mailing.
So saving lets me record my mission data.
That's right. It also records the state of your health.
Good to know.
There's one more person I want to introduce you to, Snake.
Huh?
Speaking of snakes, you remember the boss, don't you? A legendary soldier and your
Attention, le moment important, hein, les gars.
Actually, it was the boss that got the DCI's authorization in the first place. She's going to be serving as Fox's mission advisor.
The boss is?
She also helped me plan this mission. She and I were at SAS together.
Jack, is that you? How many years has it been?
Boss?
That's right. It's me. Talk to me. Let me hear your voice.
It's been 5 years, 72 days, and 18 hours.
You've lost weight.
You can tell just by the sound of my voice.
Of course I can. I know all about you.
Really? Well, I don't know anything about you.
Ah oui, c'est vrai que par codec, personne ne se voit. Hein. C'est juste une illustration
Why'd
pour
you
nous
disappear on me all of a sudden?
identifier un peu
I
qui est
was on a
qui.
top secret mission. You didn't need me anymore.
But there were still so many things I wanted you to teach me.
No, I taught you everything you needed to know about fighting techniques. I taught you all I could. The rest you needed to learn on your own.
Techniques, sure. But what about how to think like a soldier?
How to think like a soldier? I can't teach you that. A soldier needs to be strong in spirit, body, and technique. And the only thing you can learn from someone else is technique. In fact, technique doesn't even matter. What's most important is spirit. Spirit and body are like two sides of a single coin. They're the same thing. I can't teach you how to think. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. Listen to me, Jack. Just because soldiers are on the same side right now doesn't mean they always will be. Having personal feelings about your comrades is one of the worst sins you can commit. Politics determine who you face on the battlefield. And politics are a living thing. They change along with the times. Yesterday's good might be tomorrow's evil.
Is that why you abandoned me?
No, it had nothing to do with you. I already told you, Jack. I was on a top-secret mission. A soldier has to follow whatever orders he's given. It's not his place to question why. But you're looking for a reason to fight. You're a natural-born fighter, but you're not quite a soldier. A soldier is a political tool, nothing more. That's doubly true if he's a career soldier. Right and wrong have no place in his mission. He has no enemies and no friends. Only the mission. You follow the orders you're given. That's what being a soldier is.
I do whatever I have to get the job done. I don't think about politics.
That's not the same thing. Sooner or later, your conscience is going to bother you. In the end, you have to choose whether you're going to live as a soldier or just another man with a gun. There's a saying in the Orient, loyalty to the end. Do you know what it means?
Being patriotic.
It means
Donc toujours
devoting
quelque chose de
yourself to
très
your
moralisateur sur
I
le
follow
soldat en
the
guerre, hein,
president
bien
and
sûr.
the top brass. I'm ready to die for them if necessary.
The president and the top brass won't be there forever. Once their terms are up, others will take their place.
I follow the will of the leader, no matter who's in charge.
People aren't the ones who dictate the missions.
Then who does?
The times. People's values change over time, and so do the leaders of a country. So there's no such thing as an enemy in absolute terms. The enemies we fight are only enemies in relative terms, constantly changing with the times. As long as we have loyalty to the end, there's no point in believing in anything, even in those we love.
And that's the way a soldier's supposed to think?
The only thing we can believe in with absolute certainty is the mission, Jack.
All right, but do me a favor.
What is it?
Call me Snake.
Snake. Oh, right. Your code name is Snake. It suits you well.
That's right. The legendary unit that the boss put together during World War II was a snake. The Cobra unit, a group of heroes that brought the war to an end and saved the world. As long as you've got a legendary hero backing you up, you'll be fine. Isn't that right, Snake?
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else I'd rather have with me. Oh, and one more thing, boss.
Yes,
It's good to hear your voice again.
same here. After all, who knows if
On sent
either of us
que
will
les
make
deux
it out
ont
alive.
ont un
Snake,
passif
you were
ensemble.
always best at urban
On ne sait pas si c'est de
warfare and
l'admiration
infiltrating
ou si c'est
buildings. But this is the jungle. Survival is going to be key.
ou si c'est
Those
autre chose, mais
CQC techniques I taught you are sure to come in handy.
CQC. Close quarters combat, huh? I've been in the Green Berets for the past few years. I'm probably pretty rusty.
Not to worry. I'll be here to help you remember. After all, this is your first actual survival mission. I'll be supporting you over the radio.
Where are you, boss? Next to the Major?
The boss is communicating with us by radio from aboard a permit-class submarine.
voilà, on est à
Arctic
30
Ocean.
minutes
My frequency is
de stream quasiment.
141.80. Call me if you need my advice on battle techniques.
Gotcha.
Your mission is to retrieve Dr. Sokolov. Dr. Sokolov is being held in an abandoned factory located to the north of your current position. Avoid heavy combat and don't let anyone see you. Don't forget that this is a stealth mission.
Snake, try to remember some of the basics of CQC.
Ah, ça y est, on va peut-être pouvoir enfin jouer un peu.
Come Commencing virtuous mission now.
Bon, allez. Putain, ça aussi c'était chiant. Détecteur de mouvement. Ah, on a le sonar et le détecteur de mouvement. MK, on a un micro et un couteau. Parfait. Hop. Donc là, tout de suite, hop, ration. Ça nous fait à bouffer. Mais, tu vois, il y a pas mal de menus et ça va être un peu chiant. Détecteur. T'as du poids. Nourriture, tu vois, nourriture. Anaconda géant, donc tu peux le manger, hein. Donc bien sûr, il y a toujours les sempiternelles rations de survie, mais principalement on peut faire de la bouffe. Et sachant que la bouffe est périssable hein, dans le jeu. C'est-à-dire que si tu joues pas, tu peux faire ton stock dans le jeu en mode bah tiens ce soir je vais pas trop jouer le scénario, je vais me faire un petit stock pour avancer. Non, 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 non. C'est pas comme ça que ça marche. Hein. Si tu joues pas pendant une semaine, bah tu peux recommencer parce que ta bouffe est morte. Hein. Enfin elle est pourrie. Et elle peut te faire vomir. Bon, tu vois, la nature est implacable. Tu vois, les crocos et tout. Hein. C'est pas le moment de faire le zouave. Alors tu vois, je m'en approche pas trop non plus. En haut à gauche, en droite, vous avez aussi le pourcentage de camouflage, donc la probabilité que l'ennemi vous voit. Donc là, je suis à 10%, donc il y a un gros pourcentage à ce que l'ennemi me trouve et me voit, m'observe. Je devrais le faire au couteau parce que je suis en train de niquer mes doses de silencieux R, quoi, tu vois. Ah bah on n'est pas dans Zelda, hein, ça c'est certain. J'adore Zelda en plus. Ouais, voilà, cinématique, on a joué 3 minutes.
Major, I've spotted 2 enemy soldiers.
They're probably KGB troops sent to guard Sokolov.
AK-47s and grenades.
Snake, your presence in Soviet territory is already a violation of international law. We can't let the Kremlin find out that the CIA and the American government are involved. Contact with the enemy is strictly prohibited. Don't engage them in battle either. This is a stealth mission. Got
C'est vrai
that?
que je suis trop fort en
The
furtivité.
Major is right. The point of this mission is to sneak through the jungle without being seen. The success of the mission depends on how well you use your camouflage. Change your camouflage by
J'ai été
selecting
beaucoup trop vite en
camouflage
besogne, hein,
in the
il vous
survival
l'explique
view.
finalement
The
mieux que moi.
uniform option lets you pick your uniform, while the face option lets you change your face paint. Choosing camouflage that blends in with your surroundings will help you conceal yourself more effectively. Also, don't forget that anything that moves will stand out in the jungle. If you just stand up and run around like an idiot, you're bound to be spotted. But if you crawl instead, you should be able to sneak by without being noticed. You can see how effective your camouflage is by looking at the camo index. The camo index shows how well your current camouflage blends in with the surrounding area. The higher the value, the harder you are to spot, and vice versa. The key is to make